up, guys? Welcome back to Rugged Adventures. Real happy to have you guys here. Last week we talked about this 40 cal. A lot of people got a lot of good comments about that. I got a lot of good comments about that video, how not a lot of people are doing 40 cal content. And, you know, I said in the video and I said in the comments that I feel like this is sort of a niche caliber, and I got a little bit of heat for that. And so I'd just like to explain that real quick. The 40 cal came about in like 1990. And it was primarily a law enforcement caliber. It was really only adopted widespread because the FBI adopted it, and then the local law enforcement adopted that because the local law enforcement does a lot of what the FBI does. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the 40 cal versus the caliber that it replaced and is now back again, the 9mm. Because if you think about it, the 40 cal really came because of the 9mm. And before the 10mm folks can start commenting that it did not come from the 9mm, about how stupid I am, about how it's just a cut down 10mm, and that's why they call it the 40 short and weak, because this is simply a 10mm that is cut down. It came about because the 9mm didn't have enough stopping power, so to speak, versus a 10mm, but they found the 10mm a little bit harder to handle, so they cut it down into the 40. So we are going to do the same test that we did with the 40 versus the 45 with the 9mm, which for those of you who may not know is actually an older cartridge than the 45 ACP. By just a couple of years, a lot of folks out there seem to not know that. And we're going to be using 115 grain 9mm. They should be putting out about 355-ish feet-pounds. Or foot-pounds, if someone really like to correct me about the feet-pounds and the way that I say that. And that is coming out at about 1,180 feet per second. And, you know, we try to get these as close as we can, and these pistols are almost as close as you can reasonably get them. The barrel length on this one, on the 9mm, is 4.5, and the barrel length on the 40 is about 4 inches. That's as close as we're going to be able to get it because we are a 19,000 sub channel. We are not Garand Thumb, and we don't have infinite amounts of money or sponsors to get us exactly the same guns and barrels and you know, all those things to be just like a science lab, which I've said many times that we're not doing here. The ammo that we are using is for the 40 is 165 grain Winchester Target stuff. It says that it's coming out at about 1060 at 412 foot-pounds, and you know that is whenever they calibrated this through. And there was asked again why I didn't use 180 grain, because that's sort of the bullet that the 40 short and weak was designed for, and it is because this is what was available at the store at the time, and 165 grain is also a fairly common 40 cal load. So without further ado, without me talking anymore or, you know, pointing out all the things that people have said on the internet, let's get to shooting. So first up is our 1x1x1 wood block test. It is just simply a piece of 2x12 cut into eight pieces. It makes it 12 inches thick, and it, you know, gives us something to shoot at that allows us to take it apart and look at it, similar to ballistics gel, but for poor people who can't afford that on the channel. First up is going to be 9mm, and then we will do the 40 after that. Decent little shot right there. Then the 40. Know where that one went. Looks like it went near where the other 40 is. And we'll go down and take a look at what we did. So here is our wooden block. It's all taken apart. This is our new 40 hole, and this is our 9mm. And the 9mm is, you know, somewhat smaller than the 40. And to put that into perspective, let's see, we got a 6.5 Creedmoor. We have a couple 308s here, and this hit right in the area of where some of those were, so it may have gotten a little bit of an advantage. That's a 45 hole, and that is a 45 hole. But as we start going through here, we see that this is our new 40. That is our 9mm, and this is actually a 40 from another test, which will give us some perspective when we see the end results for this. Our 40 and our 9mm are still trucking along. Again, this is 40 from last week. This is a 40 that I don't even know where it came from. I don't know if it's just me rapid fire shooting and it ended up just in there, but I really wasn't tracking that one. This is our 40 from last week. This is the one that we just shot, and this is our 9mm, and I believe that this is the one that last week it stopped in, and that is the case. It stopped right there for our 40, and there is a 45 right in there as well. 45 just doesn't penetrate this this style of stuff nearly as well as the smaller bullets like the 40 and the 9mm. So the 40's here, 9mm is here, and I think this is where they both stopped. They both stopped here in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. So what is that? 7, 7.5 inches of wood. They stopped at almost exactly the same spot, with this one even having a little bit of an advantage because it kind of went through a channel that other bullets had already gone through. But for this particular test, I'm just going to go ahead and call it a draw between the 40 and the 9mm. This one has a little bit more energy, but this one is going a little bit faster. It's a little bit smaller, and maybe that enables it to just punch through at approximately the same amount as the 40 does. And honestly, this surprises me, especially because last week when we shot 40s, they ended up in this particular one. I bet you that this probably followed the channel of some other bullets, so there is a chance that that it got a little bit of an advantage there, because this is where it stopped in last week's video. On second thought, we're going to give the 40 another chance, or at least give it the chance it should have. Try to get it in a clean area, and then take that versus the 9mm. And when we shot it again, we got basically the same result. That is our new entry wound there. There it is, keeps going through several of these things. And then, let's see, it embedded right there on this one, which is a little bit short of the first 9mm that we shot and the 40. However, it ran into a knot in the back side of this. And so I'm going to call our original results accurate. It is about the same penetration into wood as the 9mm. So for our steel test, we have 1/8 of steel. This is just carbon steel. It's not AR 500. We have some previous hits here from 40 and 45 ACP. Gonna see if 9mm, with its smaller bullet going faster, even though it is a lighter bullet, and this should really favor the 40. We'll see if that smaller one going a little bit faster has any effect. So let's see how they do on steel. We'll start with the 40 cal, then move on to the 9mm. That didn't go through, doesn't surprise me. Didn't happen with the 45 either. Let's try the 9mm. I think I just winged it on that one. That's a much better shot. Neither of those look like they went through, but let's go down and take a look. So like we saw down here last week with the 40 versus the 45, the 40 did not go through, the 9mm did not go through. It looks like the 9mm did less damage. It looks like it did less damage here. I was trying to shoot it more over here so that we wouldn't get right next to each other. The bulge in this looks slightly bigger than this one here. And so I'm gonna, even though they didn't fully penetrate or penetrate at all, I'm gonna have to give this one to the 40 by just a little tiny bit. And so that leaves us with the draw for the wood block, a win for the 40 on the 1/8 steel. Let's go to the soda pop test that everyone loves so much. Here we go with the gold standard of scientific tests to determine what bullet is by far the winner in this test. This is our soda test. It's our soda pop test with the finest Mountain Dew, or Mountain Lightning, excuse me. We don't want to get sued here. So we have our 12 cans there lined up, 9mm. Let's see which one goes through more. And this is also where I get covered in the sticky crap. Well, it looks like we have 6 still standing, and the smell of gunpowder and lemon lime soda is kind of a weird smell. And it looks like we blew a bunch of these up. That one I thought may just have a, oh, wait, I don't see the bullet in there, but there's an entrance or something and no exit. I don't know. Looks like most of these got pretty obliterated. Doesn't look like any just ran into each other and started spraying. So we will set up for the 40. We'll add the 6 back to this and see how that goes. As the sun quickly fades here, we're going to see what the 40 does. The 9mm got 6. Let's see if this can get any more. And lots of folks are going to say that this isn't scientific. What if the bullet just simply left the cans? That's for you all to decide. Watch the slow-mo over and over again. I don't care. This is for fun. These tests are for fun. And if you don't like it, click away. If you do, hit the like button for me, subscribe down below. And, you know, if you don't, you may just not be that fun, you know, of a person. So let's try the 40. If I can get this lined up just right for the one shot that I get at it. Oh, boy. That's a strike. I think that's strike in bowling, right? So it's gone. It's cleared out. All 12 of these things got hit. And it looks like all 12 have entrance and exit wounds to them, I think, anyway, and that none of them just got pushed off the edge. And what I wanted to show you guys is it looks like as we're shooting into this, down this range here, and the flies are already starting, we had one that exited out this way and down here. And I want to say that that may be the 9mm. That's just a chunk of wood. This may be the 40. I don't know. But if you guys did watch the video I did on the 40 versus 45, the 40 did not take out all 12. It took out somewhat less. I don't remember what it was, but it was more than the 40 or than the 45, as I recall. Today, it took out all 12. And so it absolutely sweeps this test. And, you know, is this test super scientific? Maybe, maybe not. You know, it is recognized by several scientific institutions, including the Kentucky Gun Shooter Scientific in the Woods people that, you know, I founded. And so we did what? We had draw on the wood test. We had a slight advantage to the 40 on the steel test, and it blew away our soda pop cans, our Coke cans, whatever you want to call them, in this. And so right now we're looking at the 40 being up by 2, if I would say so. And so you got to kind of look at the other things with the 9mm versus the 40. The 9mm doesn't come with a lot less energy than the 40. And you can fit more of them in the area where a 40 would sit. And so, you know, for your pistol like this, where we can fit, I think it's 13 in a Glock 23, we can fit 15 in a 9mm of a similar size. You can fit just a few more in there, and you are going to get a little bit softer of a shot typically with a 9mm out of a similar size pistol than a 40 of about the same size. 40 seems to be a little bit more snappy, a little bit, you know, more recoil. So your time back onto the next shot is going to be a little bit longer. It's going to, you know, your follow-up maybe take a little bit longer, especially if you are lesser trained, as, you know, I am. And but at any level of training, less recoil is going to be an easier follow-up shot. But for today, for the test that we did today, the 40 is going to come out the winner, being that it just simply hit the targets harder in general. And even in that wood test, it just nosed out the 9mm, and maybe the 9 got a more favorable path through the wood than the 40 did. Maybe they really are pretty much equal through things of that density, but you know, you guys can take your own ideas from that and leave them in the comments down below. You guys always do, and I love how people just absolutely fight in the comments. So if you like this, hit the like button, subscribe down below, leave me a comment. I appreciate you guys hanging out today doing these silly tests, and I'll see you in the next one.